Yes, a bit fresh, isn't it?
We were at Hamburg Park this morning to start a class at 9:30. Gee, the sky was so blue,
I know.
a cloud.
When was it? Thursday. Thursday was just a hideous day. Yeah, emotionally, spiritually, physically, it was all that poor grey. It was just like I'll crawl away under a rock and wake me in the spring.
It was very, very nice. Better when we did things on the floor.
Yeah.
Because it's warm. When you were standing up.
It's a lovely park, Hamburg.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Beautiful. I love that park. Because nobody knows. These people from other areas don't know about it.
No.
So I never get to know it's just lovely.
We were by the tennis courts.
Oh, yes.
And we did the yoga there. We used to do it just behind. But then the mosquitoes came around, wasn't so good. So we did it just out a bit more.
Yeah.
And the only thing was we were doing this morning, a little dog. I would have died if it come around me. We were on the floor doing something, and the teacher, it came, only a little puppy thing, but all around us.
Came to say hello to you, did it?
I was being facing out at me. I was like this.
Were there lots of you there?
Today, I think what was there, about 7 of us.
That's nice. And they do it every Sunday, do they?
Every Sunday morning and tomorrow morning, weather permitting.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Lauren.
So nice to see everybody out today. Absolutely wonderful to see you back within the church. Thank you so much for coming. And a big thank you too to those of you who are watching us from the comfort of your own home today. Bless you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to Sue, who will be your online host today. So we look forward to a wonderful service today with the, I want to say marvellous, and I really want to big this lady up. You should never do that. Elaine Bevan.
Thank you.
Elaine, thank you so much for taking our service.
Thank you.
Without further ado, if we could commence please with the opening blessing. Thank you, Elaine.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And it's very hard to big someone up who's only 4'9" without a shoe. I've always wanted to be a foot taller, but I don't think we'll manage that this afternoon, Lawrence.
I'll get you a box.
If we can just take a few moments and come together, just shut out the cares of the day and allow our hearts and minds to become entwined with that of the Great Spirit. Divine and creative source that we call God. As we come together in this small sanctuary, each one of us comes for upliftment, for healing, for understanding, but also to offer our small talents for the work of the spirit world. We know that we are living in difficult and strange times, and that there are many who are feeling not only lost and lonely, but fearful, and that our responsibility to those around us is to raise their vibration, to bring back hope and comfort, and to remind them that they are not alone, that each one of us is surrounded at all times by the love and strength of the spirit world and the Great Spirit. We ask too, dear friend, for blessings on those who continue to work, to give some sense of normality to the life that we are currently leading. No matter how small the role they play, we know they do so from the strength of love and commitment for their fellow man. We ask that they have upliftment too, that they are given the strength to go forward with their duties and responsibilities, and that those who have accountability for their safety become aware that this is not a light task we ask of them, but some have given the ultimate sacrifice, and they need support, their families need our love, and they need healing. And dear friend, as always, we ask that the spirit world direct our walk through life, that they help us carry the light of your understanding, that when we touch other lives we do so in joy and upliftment, and that we push aside the darkness of ignorance and the darkness of fear. And now we hand this service, dear friend, into your loving hands, knowing that all will be well. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Elaine. Beautiful. And now, if you care to join with me, please, in saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not when in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the powers and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Thank you. And now, Elaine, we look forward to hearing your reading and address for today.
Thank you. I've been prompted to bring again a rather favourite book of mine called Rays of the Dawn, Natural Laws of the Body, Mind and Soul by Dr. Thurman Fleet. And I did use it before and said that he gives you a chapter on a negative aspect and then follows it with the positive aspect. And I want to read a little bit from the chapter entitled Hope. God endowed the first single cell of life, and therefore the latent soul, with the capacity to acquire attributes necessary for it to struggle upward from the planes of darkness to the planes of light, and to become an individualized, fully awakened human soul. Incarnated as it was in its many multiple forms, it experienced certain stages of evolution, many of which led to despair and gloom. The latent soul at first was devoid of hope. Being exposed, however, to repeated calamities that apparently were fatal, the soul, surprisingly, survived these crises. Thus hope originated as an inherent capacity of the human soul. Through the long dark ages of the past, the soul gained the knowledge that even though its material form was dissolved by death, it remained secure and possessed the accumulated knowledge of all the errors of its past lives. This experience naturally led the soul to believe that it could climb upward regardless of its apparent material position at any given time. Therefore, each human soul has an attribute based upon experience called hope, hope in the upward progression of life. We possess a carnal consciousness, which is the result of all experiences since birth. We also possess a spiritual consciousness, which is the accumulation of all experiences since creation. Unfortunately, most of us are only aware of the material consciousness, but working within ourselves is this great spiritual consciousness that possesses all knowledge. The whole purpose of the soul's evolution is that it may eventually become cognizant of its divine origin. Through acquiring wisdom, the soul can then bring itself into harmony with God, its source. Obedience to the laws governing the body, mind and soul enables the carnal consciousness to work in harmony with, instead of contrary to, the spiritual consciousness. The carnal consciousness with limited experience finds itself confronted with an unsolvable situation. When it sees no way out, it frequently gives up to what is known as despair. Life becomes dark, undesirable, meaningless. Were it not for the indispensable emotion of hope, which lies dormant in each human soul, this particular carnal consciousness would eliminate itself. but always the voice of past experience comes to the rescue saying, have hope. Temporarily, the human consciousness may conclude that the body is the entire person, and view the dissolution of the body by disease. It believes that all is lost and death will be the inevitable result. Still, the invincible spirit of hope clamours for acknowledgement. Then that person calls on those in whom he or she has faith to intervene. The individual called may be a doctor, a religious figure, or another person, but that act is always an expression of hope. The human soul, having its memory of the past unavailable to the carnal consciousness, can never be without hope. During the dark, dismal ages of the past, it experienced trials and tribulations. Having always survived the expected annihilation, the soul now knows it is immune to lesser destructive forces. To this knowledge, we can attribute the spirit known as hope, hope in the immortal evolution of life. During the evolution of the human soul, from the first stage of life to its present form, there has been a gradual acquisition of knowledge that enables the human soul to become aware of its divinity and immortality. Immortality is our supreme hope and constitutes the greatest venture of faith. The hope of life after death provides an incentive for moral perfection. It enlarges and intensifies the worth of personality. It gives significance to many facts of human experience that would otherwise be meaningless. On this hope rests our faith in the inherent goodness of the world, our discrimination of values, and our conviction that truth and justice will ultimately prevail. The hope of immortality constitutes one of the greatest stabilizing forces for all humanity. As the soul evolves and becomes conscious of its destiny, it begins to differentiate between the true and the false. It realizes that some individuals personify the attributes of good, while others do not. With its gift of reason and choice, the soul affiliates itself with one or the other. If it aligns with those who are good, it becomes, in a sense, the agent of the divine. By its acts, it assists in bringing to a realization the unity of all humanity and all life. We're living in very complex times and situations, as we know. And I don't just refer to the disease that we see spreading across the world, but also the underlying impact that has on people's lives in a practical sense. Their ability to go to work, their ability to earn some sort of wage, their ability to reach out to their loved ones on a regular basis. I personally miss hugs, I have to be honest about it. I love hugging the grandchildren and my huge 6'2" son. But we've had to withdraw a little bit from the physical contact in life. And the odd thing is, when we withdraw from that tactile physical contact, we realise how dependent we are on each other. And the isolation brings about a sense of fear, a sense of loneliness. Even if in our physical selves we are fit and healthy, we somehow become a less person because now we're shut away, indoors, or we're at a distance from those we care for. One of the things we accept as spiritualists is that we are part of the family of man, and that it doesn't matter where we come from, what we look like, or what we believe in, but that we are part of this great cosmic family. Of late, however, we have seen attitudes and behaviours from some members of our family that have left us sad, if not concerned. That we have become aware that the spoken word impacts on more than just our lives, but it changes our spiritual consciousness. It makes us aware sometimes of the more negative rather than the more positive. And the impact on us spiritually is that that drains us of spiritual energy. I'm trying to get away from the feedback from the mics, I'm sorry, as the high-pitched whine keeps hitting me.
It's because you've got such a clear voice, so you're trying to pick up people and mumble.
That's years of talking at big gatherings, I'm afraid. Nursing, not spiritual. When we lose our connection with our own spiritual nature, and remember we have it because there is an essence of the divine in every human being. In fact, I'd go further and use a phrase that the Buddhists use, every sentient life. So that doesn't matter if it's an insect, if it's an animal, if it's a plant. Everything has an essence of the divine within its soul. And when we are going through these difficult times, when we're allowing the negativity to overwhelm us, to pull us down, to make us sad, we are letting that light dim. We're not generating that magnificent brilliance that is part of our human and spiritual nature. When we look around the world, it's very easy to see the areas of this beautiful planet that are currently dark and dismal. And what has made them that way is not just natural disaster or hardship. It is often down to the words that are spoken to the people in those countries, in those cultures. Words that keep them subjugated, words that make them fearful. I said to Lawrence before the service that I used to work as a counsellor with abuse cases. And one of the things that we learnt very quickly was that broken bones will heal, bruises will fade, but cruel, unkind words are never forgotten. And that is true on all levels of life. If we do not bring words of hope into society, then we're no better than the worst of them. If we do not bring examples of love, practical assistance, of upliftment, then we're no good at all to the world. We're here for a purpose. Our soul has chosen to incarnate through this difficult time for a very good reason. We've come to work on behalf of the divine, to share the divine with those that come into our lives. And I'm not being evangelical when I say this. If you watch one simple good act and the impact it has on the person that you do it for, those ripples go out much further than that one individual. Because the upliftment in them makes them want to share that positivity. It makes them in turn want to be of use to someone else. And by giving someone hope, we are reminding them there is always light there. And remember, they say that the night is darkest just before the dawn. So the light is going to be there regardless of what we do. But think how much more brilliant light in this world would be if we actively generate it. When we look at how we are perceived by those we love, we know that a word of comfort, a word of upliftment, brings the other person into a positive state of being. They smile, you feel their energy rise, they vibrate on a higher frequency. Conversely, if we're chastising them, we watch that energy deplete. They go in, they become a shadow of the person we know they really are. I believe that every soul has a duty of care to every other soul on this planet, like them or not. And I will be totally frank, you learn to love people even when you don't like them, because you love the fact that they're here trying to grow spiritually also. You love the fact that they're doing their damnedest, even if it doesn't measure up to what you think they should. We love the fact that there is another being aiming towards that light. We talk about unconditional love. That's a hard one. But we manage to do it with our families. And if we remember that we're part of God's family, then there's no reason why we shouldn't achieve that also. Hope springs eternal in every soul. We always want things to improve, not just for ourselves, but for those we care about. Now is the time that we need to generate that hope, radiate from ourselves to those that come into contact with us. Send out that positivity. Blind them with your light. For with that light, we remove the darkness of the soul. We remove the loneliness, the pain and distress. We are agents of the divine. Upstairs is just now laughing at me and said, "You never thought you'd be a secret agent, did you, Elaine?" Laughter plays its part. If you give someone something to laugh about, you raise their vibration. Remind them that whatever we experience physically is only part of our lesson. Our lesson is determination. It's onward, upward progression. And I hope, no, I'm going to say I know, I will see many of you on that climb again. Thank you for listening, friends.
Well, we can all go home now. You've all had your message. Elaine, I just worship your philosophy, your guidance and your eloquence as well. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much.
Don't hold me responsible for everything that comes out of my mouth.
No, I'm going to hold you totally responsible for everything that happens in the next 40 minutes, my darling.
I hope the Spirit Board has a part to play in it.
I'm sure they will. So we can now move on to that time dedicated to healing. You know, we look for healers, we seek healers, we try to go for healing. But one of the greatest truths, and as discussed earlier on very nicely with one of the members of the congregation, we can all be our own healers. We can heal ourselves. Yes, and picking up on the thread of the address there, we crave that closeness, that contact, but at this time it is denied to us. However, healing is never denied to us. So if you just like to make yourselves comfortable, just try and let go of all those little thoughts, or, you know, all the little worries that we have and all the little niggles. Yes, you did turn the kettle off. Yes, you did lock the door. Don't worry about it. Yes, the doggy's fine. Just let all those things go. And just for this short time, link in. Link in with that power that emanates from the heart of all creation. That divine and wondrous love that conveys with it all the healing energy that you will ever need. And as you sit and meditate, think of those people that you know, some that you don't know, friends and families, even foes, it matters not. And send out that healing energy and direct it with your love and compassion. Try not to constrain your energy by putting a construct around it. Just send out healing, and it will be used and received in accordance with the divine plan and with those that you are sending out to's needs. And as you do this act, as you embark upon this short time, trust and know that as you give out that healing, you too will receive the same healing energy also. So I leave you now just for this short time, and God bless you all. As you gently return, bringing yourself back with consciousness, send out that thought and prayer, that blessing on the healing that has been given and received in and through the name of love. Amen. So once more, it's my great privilege to hand over to the lovely Elaine for your demonstration. That's it. That's all right. That's it. I'm not going to say anything else, I'll get carried away again.
Okay, thank you. Can I come to the lady in the back with the glasses, please? May I speak to you?
Bless you.
Thank you. I'm aware of a mother figure in the spirit world stood behind you on the left, and she was talking to me about your sensitivity and how, I want to say the last 3 months in particular, have been a very difficult time for you. Do you understand this? Thank you. Because as she's coming in closer now, she's saying you have been very personally affected, emotionally affected by cruelty around you. Do you understand this? And I know that, thank you, she's laughing. She said it's a good job you're not God, because there would have been 1 or 2 thunderbolts flying around, you understand? She said not that you are an unkind person, but she said there were times you became incredibly frustrated by what was going on. Thank you. And can I say you would understand why gossip in particular was an energy that really was quite unpleasant? Do you understand this? She's showing me the energy of gossip going past, and it was like you were, whoa, I don't want to be involved in that. Do you understand? Yeah. And thank you. Because she's saying it amazes you how people do not understand the impact even thinking has on other people. Bad enough thinking it, but the moment it's left our mouth, the damage is well and truly done. Do you understand? Thank you. Harry and Frank are calling from the spirit world, please. And I'm going back in time for those 2 names. All right, can you look over Dad's side of the family? I feel you will find them over there, okay? Lovely, good. Because I want to say, they're 2 old codgers, can I put it that way? Because they're stood here as if to say, she'd better remember us. But lovely souls. I feel these guys a good sense of humour, I want to say. And you know how we used to talk of salt of the earth, good souls who really didn't expect any praise, any thanks. They just did things for the sheer pleasure of doing them. These 2 energies surround you at the moment. And I know as they're saying that to me, you've been in need of a few good deeds yourself. Do you understand that? And these 2 chaps literally have come, you know, march either side of you from the spirit world to make sure that you don't tread in any potholes. That's how they're putting it. I know too that these men were physically very strong in their life, can I say to you, because they weren't averse to hard work, both of them are telling me. In fact, I've got one here, and don't laugh, he's got a mustard pullover on, but the sort that was V-neck and no sleeves, do you know what I mean? And he's digging the soil. So he either enjoyed gardening or he had something to do with digging, because he's really turning the soil over. And he's making me feel that you've had to do a lot of looking more deeply at things, of turning things over in your mind, of almost uncovering the roots you want to get rid of. Can I put it that way? And some of that has struck home a little bit too close. Does this make sense to you? Thank you. Because the other guy who's laughing at me said I wouldn't wear a V-neck like that ever. He stood there, he's got why he's telling me, he's got a Fair Isle sweater on, he's telling me. He's saying I dress much more conservatively. I have to say they're a right pair of characters. But he's saying that we found it difficult looking at people that we thought had halos and actually have feet of clay. Does this make sense to you? He's covering it all up because it's nobody's business but yours and his. Thank you. The month of April just shot across, please. Would you understand an anniversary in the month of April, please? Thank you. But I also want to go down towards Christmas time. I feel I'm on the tail end of November, preparing for the Christmas. Some sort of celebration. I don't know if this is an anniversary around that time of year. Thank you, because I've got 1 foot in November and 1 foot in December, and it's almost like the celebration starts and then just leaks into Christmas. So I feel that this has to be an issue where lots of people are involved. Would you understand that? I'm being taken back to family celebrations when there was a crowd, and it didn't matter what happened in the November, it was still like you were going on as we led up to Christmas. So family events from the past are drawing my mind to. Okay, you're missing something, because they're saying to me, between the November and the run into Christmas, there has to come another event. And they were making me feel something like a baptism or a christening would have happened one year in that gap between the November and Christmas. I feel I'm taking your mind back to that, please. And I'm going to be corrected by them, because they did use the word baptism. I wanted to change it to christening, but they're happier with baptism. I don't know who baptises, do you? I don't know which faith it is. Is it just the Baptists?
I can't place it.
I'm going to leave that with you, because I feel they're bringing back to mind a specific person who was baptised. And, you know, it's not like it was a baby. We tend to think of christening, baptism, baby. This was someone who was older when they were baptised, please. So don't worry about it. I feel like it's going to spring into your consciousness later. Because I'm saying to them, excuse me, you know someone too with a heart condition who's in the spirit world, please, thank you. Because they would often cough when the heart missed a beat. Thank you. Go away now. When I say go away, I'm not really being cruel. I'm just saying back off a bit. Okay, darling. They're not going to let me get away from this baptism. Whoever it is they're bringing your mind to, and it's a man. I've got to say it's a man. Well, he was a man. Because they're talking to me about someone who followed a very narrow secular path. So this is someone, it tells me, who either went into some form of ministry or some form of good works as they grew up, please. So I do want you to really think about that when you go home. And thank you. I'm saying, I know you will remember it because they're telling me you will. It's simply to validate the good wishes that were given to that soul at the baptism. Thank you. Because these two chaps are saying his light was already shining very brightly at that age. Okay? All right. May's calling, please. May. Right. And you either knew Winnie or Winifred as well, please. Because I keep getting both names, so it could be two people, but I felt Winnie was how she was generally known. And she's quite a large lady. She's well padded as she shows me her energy.
It's ringing bells, but I can't.
Yeah, I know it's a long way back, because I can tell from her dress it's a long way back. Okay. And just before I leave you, you knew someone who passed in a car accident, please, because they're just showing me, and I want to go back to round about the 60s, the 1960s, because the style of car would be of that era. Somebody who passed quite young. They're just showing me that. Excuse me. Do it that way. The car must have caught fire because I'm having difficulty breathing through fumes, so it might help you place them. And I'm asking, why is that important? Because when they don't spring straight to mind, we think, you know, who are they? I don't feel this is family, this is no relative, but it's where you lived at the time, and you would have heard about it through the neighbours in the vicinity, okay? Yeah. Thank you. And you always, when you heard of a passing or something sad, they're telling me, you always sent a little prayer up immediately. And that prayer was noted at that time, okay? All right, I just feel the energy beginning to drop, and I just want to say, God bless you. Thank you for the work that you do for the world of spirit, okay? Can I come to you, sweetheart? Not you, darling. Lady behind. I'll be with you shortly. Yes, may I speak to you, sweetheart? Thank you. I have a gentleman standing on your right-hand side, which for me is always Dad's side of the family. And this gentleman by nature is quite quiet, a little bit reserved. He's drawing me very much to the beautiful colour of your blouse, because he's saying he was the sort of person that didn't like negativity, and turquoise for me is about getting rid of negativity. Would you understand a gentleman on Dad's side of the family like that, please? Okay. And I've got to go with this negativity because he was the sort that Thank you. We'll use a gardening analogy again. He said, if there was a weed, you pulled it out. You didn't think that the divine energy would somehow irradiate it for you. Your actions were the thing that got rid of it. And he's saying that to me because this was a man of action, this gentleman. When a problem arose anywhere for anyone, he would be one of the first to say, actually, I can come along and give you a hand if you need one, or would you like me to do that for you? He turned his personal ethics into action. Do you understand that? Oh, right, okay. Well, can I say to you on his behalf then, you share a similar nature. You'd rather do something than discuss it. So if you see the washing up there in the daughter's house, you go and do it rather than leave it. You have that same ability to put some physical energy into a situation and turn it round. I know too that this gentleman, I'm sorry, someone is really too close to me today. Can you just bear with me 2 seconds, please? I'm really sorry to do this to you.
No, don't worry.
Margaret Claughton's here.
Oh.
And I know Margaret struggled with her throat.
Yeah.
Will you take her and hold her for a while, please?
No, I have to.
Do you-
She's only going to tell me off.
Yeah.
I will, of course.
She's far too close to me. Okay.
Right.
Thank you. Sorry, Margaret. Just move
Right.
away. She was an old teacher of mine as well, so that's probably why I'm getting trouble. Thank you, Margaret. Okay. Right, let me connect again with your gentleman. Thank you. Because of this issue of colour, and turquoise to me means bringing negativity forward to deal with it, he's telling me that you also have looked at certain situations around you of late, and it's been like you've been clearing the decks or clearing out cupboards. Do you understand this? And it's nothing big, please don't worry about it, but it's more like you found a little cobweb you'd missed, so you thought, I'll get rid of that, then I don't have to think about it. So there's little situations you've been tidying up spiritually. Can I put it that way to you? I know too that there's a lot of healing vibration that moves around you all the time. And thank you. He's telling me there's a wish you could do more for those in pain and distress. Do you understand this? And thank you. Apart from running out and offering yourself to the NHS, he's saying, do what you do now, because your prayers have as much energy as physical action. Now, as he says that to me, there's a lady you have been concerned about in particular. He's showing me a female energy on the earth plane that you've been worried about, please. And he's picked up your thoughts. And would you understand you feel you don't know what else you can do to make the situation better? It's a bit like you've hit an impasse, can I put it that way? And he's, thank you, sorry, he's laughing at my doorkeeper, and he said I'm going to use one of her phrases that she uses for me. Give it to God and then get out of his way, please. Because that's what I'm always being told. Give over that worry to the God force and then let it be, because their energy will deal with it. Okay. Would you understand too why I can see a Native American influence around you, please? Yeah, lovely energy. As you put your hands together, he just suddenly built up. And there's a real connection with the natural world, with the environment. Do you understand this? And I don't know what you do for hobbies, but I have this feeling of beautiful fragrances around you and aromas and creativity. Do you have a particular hobby where you make beautiful smelly things?
No, but that'll be something I need to think about.
Well, I can only say to you, he's filling, it's as if you're in a room absolutely full of flowers. All I can smell is this wonderful fragrance, and it's the Native American Indian that brings, I'm with you now. Thank you. Twit, I am. He's just got out his smudging sticks, you know what those are? And that lovely odour is for clearing energy in rooms. But he's saying there are so many other fragrances you can use for your meditation, for your healing, for when you're sitting quietly thinking about people. And he's asking you to look into, thank you, essential oils, because I do feel they'll add another dimension to your meditative energies and your healing energies. And that smudging fragrance is just wonderful. He's bringing that in very strongly. So that tells me there must be something in the physical environment around you at the moment that needs sorting or clearing or organising in some way, please. I don't know about that. Yeah. You know, sometimes there are bits of clutter in the garden. We think, oh, that needs to go to the tip, and I never quite get there. Or something needs changing, because he's showing me the energy changing around you. So just be aware that if you smell his smudging stick, he's there to clear the bit of blockage or energy that needs clearing. Okay. There's a lady beginning to build with you now, and she's really quite short. I'd say she's a bit taller than me, but she's not a tall lady, maybe about 5'4", 5'5" as she comes in close. And she has a rather sensitive, gentle nature about her. I feel she was the sort of personality that saw much but said little. Does this make sense to you? Yeah, that's the feeling I have, is that, you know, she was the sort that would look at you with an old-fashioned look, as if to say, doesn't matter what you're telling me, I know exactly what you mean. And it was often she could read more than we were being told. I want to say that this lovely lady, though, there's a quiet strength about her. Can I say that to you? And she was capable of so much more than people would guess just by looking at her, because she's not great in stature, and she wasn't one to blow her own trumpet or make a lot of noise. She was a diligent sort of personality, and she just quietly beavered on doing what she had to do. And I know as she brings that energy to you, at times life for you has almost been like a treadmill or a conveyor belt. You've just had to keep going and keep going and keep going. And she said at times you felt there wasn't light at the end of the tunnel. And in fact, you couldn't see the end of the tunnel. But she said you were always very good at connecting with your God and saying, I can't do this next bit. I'm giving this bit to you to deal with. And she recognises that energy in you, because she also shared it, I need to say to you. All right. Who was the dancer? Someone's tapping away behind you. I can just hear tap dancing going on. And it's someone who would have done it as a child, please. Yes, there was. Because I thought for a minute we were going to have that Irish troupe come parading through. I can't remember what they're called. It's not Footloose, because that's a film, a funny film, isn't it? Yeah. It's all right. And it's not Happy Feet, I'm being told, because that's Penguins. Okay. Sorry, I can't remember the name. But it's definitely tap dancing I can hear. So that's bringing that memory back to you. Okay. I just feel the energy is very strong around you, particularly from that Indian. And I really would like you to make a much closer connection with him. So look at the use of fragrance, essential oils. And please know that, thank you. He says, I walk this path with you through choice. Okay, so God bless you. Thank you for working with me. Can I come to you now, darling? All right. You're like me. We're vertically challenged, aren't we? Because I just heard another little lady in the spirit world say, me too, dear, me too. So I want to say this is either a mother or a grandmother. She has that energy. In fact, we're both of them quite short, your mum and her mum. Yes, can I? Yes. Because I just felt, oh dear. Do you remember there used to be a dancing troupe of little fat ladies? Because she said, you and I are those two on the other side, could be in it. I can't remember what they were called. Roly-polies, thank you. Roly-polies. It gets a bit much when the spirit world say you're fat. But I want to bring the sheer joy of these two ladies to you, because you would understand that it didn't matter how difficult the day was or the situation was or the person was, suddenly one or the other of them would be giggling about it, and then the next one would start, and before you knew it, all the shoulders would be shaking. And I feel that these ladies always looked for the light, for the rainbow. They were such positive energies. And, you know, the funny thing was, people never realised how strongly positive they were till they weren't there anymore. And it was like a huge hole in the family. Do you understand this? Thank you, because your mother just said to me, someone actually said, it's like a light had gone out. Do you understand? And I know that she's getting emotional, your mum now. They're saying when they passed and they saw how those left behind felt about it, It really upset them because they weren't there to ease the pain and dry the tears, because that would have been what they'd done. It would have been big hugs, dry the tears, here's a hanky, because they didn't want to see people miss them as much as they did. In fact, your grandmother just said to me, I had no idea I was that popular. Because she could be quite an old-fashioned harridan, couldn't she? Yeah, because she's saying to me, if she'd have had her stick, it would have been banged quite a few times. Pay attention, do as you're told. But very good heart this lady had. And I want to say, she was the sort of person, again, that would share whatever she had with neighbours if necessary. She's making me laugh now. She used to loan the old man to the neighbours, go and dig a garden or go and clear that drain. She was very good at organising the menfolk and the families. Okay, darling, all right. Now, both ladies are saying, you've been a bit naughty lately, haven't you? One, there's been a lowness of spirit, do you understand this? And two, there's been some doubting of things. And they've been listening to your thoughts, I have to say. In fact, it's like they sat side by side with you, as if to say to each other, are you going to dig her in the ribs or shall I dig her in the ribs? Because they don't like to see you low, do you understand? And you actually gave yourself a talking to, your mother's telling me. For goodness sake, shake this off, get out of this. Because if my mum was here, she'd be telling me off now. And she said, who do you think was putting those thoughts into your head? Right, okay. Your mum just said, you've got a long time before you're going anywhere, right? Yeah, and it's about time you got yourself something to do to fill all those hours. Thank you, because she's making me laugh now, because she said, the devil makes makes work for idle hands. I get it right now. So she's saying, you need to fill your time with something. All right, all right. But you've sent thoughts up to a particular gentleman in the spirit world, haven't you? Because she's just showing me the stream of thoughts going up, particularly over what's been going on the health scene. She said it's brought back memories of, can I say, you watching people deteriorate? And that's been partly responsible for lowering your spirit. And she said, well, you've got to forget is, those conditions are only whilst we're here. The moment we're home, we're back to being the spirit being, okay? And there's no pain, there's no disability, there's no mental problems. We are that bright spark of spirit, and she wants you to remember that. Harry called very quickly then. And would you know Peter? This might be on the earth plane.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Peter on the earth plane, can you look if he needs a bit of healing or a bit of support of some sort?
He does, yes.
Okay, because if they mention the earth plane, it's usually because there is a need.
Yeah.
All right. Would you understand my geography is useless, I'm warning you. What they're showing me is the Grand Union Canal. Now that's up country a bit, isn't it? Would you understand a connection up that way, please? I don't even know what county I'm in. Where's the Grand Union Canal, do you know?
About as good as you would, John.
He's no better. Anyone know? Oh, Manchester, is it as high as Manchester? Don't think it's quite as high as Manchester, is it? But going up that way to the Midlands, would you understand a connection? Oh, thank goodness for that. We're going to have to do some geography. Yeah. Okay, and ask them why they're bringing that memory in. Can I say that's a link that goes back a number of years? I feel I just want to send thoughts off to that direction, okay? More like, you know, we say out of sight, out of mind. It's as if I've forgotten someone.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And, right, I'm seeing April, but when it was an Easter time. So, you know, Easter's a movable feast. There has to be something about an Easter celebration that they're taking your mind back to, please.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And I'm now we are going back away. I'm being shown an old-fashioned funeral when it would have been, not horse and cart,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? I don't know what a hearse, it's a hearse, but horse-driven hearse, ridden, or whatever,
Yeah.
because I'm seeing the beautiful glass sides and a casket, and the casket is draped in something, so there would have been a particular... Ah, okay. because I felt it had to be a very specific funeral, please. Was there a military connection there?
Yes.
Thank you. Because I almost wanted to put, like, the American flag for soldiers. Okay. All right.
Well, that goes back a long time.
It was. Because I'm not quite as old as I look. Thank you. But also, just sorry about this, because I said horse and cart, you would understand the rag and bone man, wouldn't you? Because they're taking me way back when they would come round the streets. Do you understand that?
That's right,
Yeah, and I feel it's just taking the mind back almost to simpler times. Does this make
Yes,
sense to
yes,
you?
yeah.
Okay. Well, these two ladies are having a right natter now, and I said we've got to go on because there's other people here. So can I just say, know that they are with you. No more lowness of spirit. Hobby. So if you haven't got one, find one. Knitting, sewing, or something. You know. Okay. And right. Okay. Well, God bless you, darling. Thank you very much for working with me. All right. I'm going to come over. I promise. Can I come to you, sweetheart? Okay. For some reason, I'm getting so much sunshine around you. Have you just been on holiday? Or have you had a really hot, sunny holiday this year?
No, it's been in this country.
Oh, right,
All the
okay.
time in the sun.
Right, let me see why we've got sunshine. Because I almost feel I want to be on a beach somewhere really, really hot. So come on, who is this? Right. I feel I need to take your mind back. And say geography in England's bad enough, take me abroad and I'm lost. But would you understand a particular holiday where I'd be somewhere like Gran Canaria, or I don't even know where that is. I know it's not Spain. I'd recognise Spain. Because I feel I want to take you in that direction for a specific holiday memory.
Greece and Spain I've been to.
All right, well, okay. My geography, as I say, is not good, but I want to go to a specific holiday. I'm asking them to tell me why. All right, come on. It's a young man coming in. It is a young man. It's not an elderly relative. And I don't feel particularly this is a blood relative. I feel this is someone you've known throughout your life. Someone who would be like a neighbour's son. It's not someone of your generation. It's a generation beneath you. And he's the one that's bringing this holiday energy to me. Maybe he's the one that went somewhere like Gran Canaria. But would you understand looking at a culture in another country? Thank you. And in particular, I've got to be careful and sensitive how I say this, looking at the narrowness of some religious cultures in other countries. You thinking about it, please.
I've got one particularly close friend who is younger than me, who lives in Spain, and he's a psychiatric nurse.
Okay, well,
And he likes people of all nationalities.
yeah, no. This young man that's talking to me is in spirit, okay?
Oh, he does good.
Yeah, well, it'd be a bit hard to have a conversation with Spain at the moment. Come on now, I'm not that clever. No, he's talking to me about you having an awareness of narrowness of culture or religion in another country. I'll tell you how he's putting it to me. It's like I'm walking into a big Roman Catholic cathedral and it's all gold and pomp and ceremony, but then underlying it is the narrowness of focus, the issue about things like abortions, divorces over history, and how you can have all this wonderful visual energy but have a very narrow focus. And he's bringing that for a reason. It has to remind you of you having thoughts along those lines somewhere.
When I went to Italy and I went to being brought up as a Catholic, and I went to Rome, and I was conscious of all this beautiful, but I didn't like it because I thought, what about the people?
Okay, right. Now, we've got the link, so I need to ask this young man why that's important. And I have to say, you've only known him like a neighbourhood young man or colleagues. He's not someone closely connected with you, but he has heard you speak about your spiritual beliefs. Somewhere along the line he's heard you speak. And that's why he was talking about how what we see is not necessarily what we get. And I feel that that's been very important in your life to certain people around you, how you have had to interpret for them what's really going on in situations. Do you understand this? Thank you. And I'll tell you what they're showing me. Spirit do this, they make us bare our souls. I have a daughter who for years convince me her marriage was wonderful. In fact, she was being knocked black and blue. And it's only when we allow the spirit energy to really get in there that we start to see the true situation. So I know that you, thank you, darling. He's now saying to me, you've had to act as a spiritual interpreter, and you have been given that purpose in quite a few lives, and it's made you uncomfortable, but you're of an ilk that if I don't stand up and say something, no one else will. Do you understand this? And on that basis, I don't know if you work spiritually, I don't know if you're connected with the church in a direct way, but the spiritual pastoral counselling role is building around you, I have to say. Now, this young man, I feel he was in his 20s when he passed, maybe 25, 26, possibly as high as 28, because he's talking to me about university, so he would have gone to university. I feel he passed through an illness. So I'm giving you this information so you can stretch your mind later on. It wasn't through a willful act or anything. It was an illness. In fact, I feel it was an illness involving his blood, so it could have been some sort of leukemia type condition, because he does look rather pale as he stands next to me. But he's thank you. He's linking very much on this spiritual pastoral counselling role. Thank you. And he's using his university life to say there were times when he was so lost and so lonely when he left home and went to university. He needed someone to talk to. And it's only now looking back, he sees how much his life would have benefited from a voice like yours, ears like yours. So he's asking that when you get that opportunity to listen to someone, to guide them, to direct them, please be there for them. Okay. Now, I'm sorry you've not had a relative, but it just makes us work harder when we have to place them. But he keeps giving me the letter G, as if that would link with his name somewhere. And the only one I can bring to mind is Graham or Gerald, but he's not nodding to either of those. But I'm going to leave him with you because I feel he's said what he needed to say. And I'm also aware I'm going to get told off in a minute. Can I come to you two together, please? Are you together? You haven't just borrowed him, dear. Thank you. I want to come to the gentleman first, because I have a gentleman coming in who stands about 5'11", possibly just touching 6 foot. He's a very strong man, both of opinion as well as physical stature. I know there's a blood connection with this gentleman, and I want to say how you're looking at me at the moment. His eyes were also quite piercing. He would look at you and you'd start to squirm a little bit because you'd think, what have I forgotten to do, or what have I done that I shouldn't? So I know I'm looking either for a grandfather or that type energy, please. Right. Can I say, is this your maternal grandfather? Mum's side rather than dad's side?
Could be both.
Well, I want mum's side, okay? Because I said to him, I bet your dad's side, and he said you couldn't be further from the truth, darling, because I always expect mum's sides to be softer. But I feel he was a man of very firm principles, can I put it that way to you? Yeah. And I don't feel he gave an inch. That wasn't his style. If he was wrong later on, he'd apologise, but, you know, he'd make a judgment and you had to live with it. Do you understand that? But he drew me to you because, would you understand, sir, why there is a sense of disappointment around you at the moment, as if something's not gone according to plan or something's let you down in some way? Do you want? Thank you. Because that's the energy that this man was drawn in on. There's always an energy that brings them. And I wanted to say on his behalf, it's not just disappointing. It's almost as if you feel something has failed, something you tried has. It's not just it didn't work. It went wrong or it failed. Do you understand that subtle difference? Yeah. And he's asking you to accept you have done everything you needed to do and more. Now you have to back off. Whatever this is going on, you have to back off. Thank you. Because would you understand? I can't get that phrase. Give it back. It's as if someone wants to be able to say, well, you know, he shouldn't have stuck his nose in, or it's his fault. And it's not. It is nothing to do with you. Whatever's going on, you're being used, thank you, you're being used as a smoke screen, he's telling me. Do you understand this?
Yeah.
And you, he's just laughing now. He said, hightail it out of town. Because if you're not there, people can't be pointing the fingers. Thank you. Because I have to say on your behalf, from this gentleman, you actually have very strong personal ethic, and it's offended you a little bit. Do you understand this?
Yeah.
And so he's saying, don't stand around to make excuses or give them explanations, because no one really is interested. You know the truth of it. You just get on with your life, okay? And as he said that, he brought the young lady in. So you must know how he's been feeling. Do you understand this? Because, thank you, the gentleman said to you, I don't know if you ever knew him, you'd have given them a few choice words if it had been left to you. Do you understand?
Yeah, well,
And he said, we didn't need that. There was already enough energy going round. But he thanks you for your care and concern. All right, because the gentleman's saying, you know he's honourable.
yeah.
He wouldn't do a harm or a disservice.
No.
And so that's what offended you. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's right.
But can I say, back off now, let the rest of them get on with it, because whatever's happening over the next 3 months, you two have got a lot of changes coming up. I don't know if you're changing things in the house, or you're changing the house, or you're changing the location, but there's an awful lot of energy moving around you over a 3-month period. Have you got some plans already in your minds?
We've just got a caravan, so we don't know how to use it yet, but we are going to go.
Well, I've got to say to you, I have so much energy moving over the next 3 months, and it isn't just exploring places. I want to say it's like you're exploring new avenues for the two of you, things to do together, and not just, you know, hobbies. Would you understand, thank you, sir, would you understand, sir, why this gentleman is saying to me, when you met her, you felt as if you'd been felled? Do you understand what I mean? And he said it was written in the stars, sunshine. It was written in the stars. So whatever was planned for you two, that came into play once you met each other. So this energy is going to create things for you that aren't just hobbies and activities, but things that will matter to you both, okay? All right. Do either of you know someone who does fostering or adoption, please?
Unless somebody wants to.
All right, well, that energy's already in place. So I don't know if you'll be able to support them, guide them or whatever, but there's a fostering and adoption energy already in place. He's laughing. The gentleman just said, be careful, it can be contagious, all right? All right, you shaking your head, he said, you'll be surprised how many people you end up taking under your wing.
Oh no.
All right?
I wanted the brown.
It doesn't mean you're going to adopt or foster them, but you have a... Thank you. All right. He says you have a big mummy sign that sits above your head. You can't help but mother people. Do you understand that? So I'm just warning you two, next 3 months is going to be pretty busy. But can I say, so much positive, uplifting energy. Thank you for what you're going to be doing for whoever, because there's so much love you generate from what you do. God bless you both. Thank you for working with me. Can I come to the lady with the lovely auburn hair? I'm sorry we're running over. I hope nobody's got a bus to get.
Thank you.
There's a lady on your mother's side of the family. I don't feel this is mother or grandmother. I feel like an aunt. Would you understand that?
Yes.
And I want to say, oh, I'm saying on her behalf, she tells me she's as beautiful as you are. So facially, you have very similar bone structure. Can I say that to you? Because she was doing this, you know, like an old-fashioned photograph. I have a lady who had a very lively mind, very quick. Thank you. I don't know what this game is. I know the name. Do you know what Yahtzee is? It's an old game they'd have played a couple of generations back. Do you know?
Yeah, it's a card game.
It's a card game. Well, she was showing it me because she had a very quick mind and she would be very good at things like Yahtzee, which also tells me you share a similar vibration to her. I don't know whether you play cards or not, but you have this quickness of mind. You're able to cut to the heart of a situation very quickly. And she tells me you don't suffer fools gladly either, do you?
No.
In fact, she said if you have a bad side, that's the bad side. Because, all right, she's laughing at you now. She's saying, you don't need to say a word, you just have that face. And the other person will just turn tail and leave the room. Having said that, would you understand you've had to use that protective mechanism in the past in your life? Because she says you don't like to say it, but you'll give them an old-fashioned look. Because you believe there's less harm done if you don't say it. Okay. Having said that as well, who is it that's been saying things around you that you've not been happy about? Because upstairs have heard it. Thank you. Because she just said, tell him to zip it. And she did that. Tell him to zip it. You don't want to hear it. Okay, thank you. Because she's reminding me, if we put out that negative energy, it will take hold. It will create. Okay. All right. You also know someone who had a heart condition, please, who's in the spirit world now.
Yes.
And someone with breast cancer, can I say to you?
Yes.
Okay, let's not go through the medical dictionary. It's because I'm a nurse. They'll start going through their conditions in a minute. But you also knew someone who was an amputee, and I feel I'm going back in time for that case. Okay. I'm just looking at your feet because she just said to me, tell her not to forget the chiropodist. Do you go to the chiropodist?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I think maybe she's saying look after your feet, all right? Which tells me you're a bit like me. You like a little bit of height, don't you? Unfortunately, as we get older, that's not necessarily the safest thing to do. But just take it as a general wish for your welfare. Now, what is it you've been writing? Because she shows me you writing, please. Okay.
Buddhist sayings.
Right, lovely. And are you, I don't know what that word is, give it back to me. Are you, not enamelling them, but making them more elaborate, please?
No.
You remember the old books, the
Yes.
seriously old books, how they'd start with one big letter?
Yes.
They're asking that you make them more elaborate and turn them into texts for the walls. Thank you, because I don't know if you need a hobby, I don't think you do for 1 second, but I feel it's something that would make lovely gifts for people. So when a text sort of strums your heartstrings, that's the one they want you to make an elaborate picture of and frame. Okay. All right. That's very interesting. You know that you do have a Tibetan Buddhist monk energy around you, don't you?
Yes.
That's why it resonates so strongly with you. And you actually hear the when you're sitting quietly, you hear that building behind you. And it's his presence getting stronger in your auric field. Have you ever got... give it back. Not the small Tibetan bowls. There are some very big ones that have deep sounds. Have you ever used them? You've got a small one?
Yes, because I do yoga, so I do.
Okay. I don't know how big they get and how expensive they are, but I feel he wants you to have one that's very deep bass and to use it in your meditation. So when the family say, what do you want for Christmas? Perhaps you can drop the hint,
Yes.
because he wants the deep bass energy. It allows him to connect more closely with you. You also have some very strange out-of-body experiences with him, don't you? I know, because he's taking me into the inner caves up in the Tibetan mountains. And you've been able to be very aware of being out of body and conscious, haven't you?
Yes.
I think we call it translocation. You know that my body's here, but my consciousness is here. Because he's showing me, you know that part of the training would be to go into the caves and to practice
Yes.
self-deprivation, no food, no water, so they could free the inner self. And he's saying how you're following a similar self-disciplined path. But all he wants is that the moment you feel uncomfortable, you stop. Thank you. I don't think this is the right word, but it's like he's saying you are not a novitiate. Now that's Catholic, I think, meaning a trainee, but you will benefit from some of the practices they adopted. Thank you. Sorry, sweetheart. He's very cheeky, you know. He's got a lovely accent, and that's why I struggle with his words sometimes. And I feel when you hear him, he will have this lovely, deep, sonorous voice, but he does have an accent that goes with it. The only thing, I don't know what. It's not for me to give advice on diet. The red meat is an issue. Would you understand that?
I don't have a lot of it.
Good, because it is an issue, he's saying.
Yes.
So he's very much pulses, seeds, that sort of thing. Okay. And he's laughing. He said, and you can always have an extra bar of chocolate to make up the lack of red meat. All right. Okay, and before I withdraw, would you understand a Chinese connection as well? Not in real life, in the spirit world.
Not that I can remember.
Will you remember you've been told there is a Chinese vibration as well? Because that's much more to do with the philosophy, okay? So God bless you. I need to move on to these lovely ladies who've been waiting so patiently, and I do apologise. Can I come to the young lady first? I've been very aware, funny enough, through the whole afternoon that there's been an energy surrounding you, and it's a very strong, compassionate, caring energy. And I feel that it's partly you and partly members of your family in the spirit world. So would you understand that you do have this well of compassion that sometimes overwhelms you? Okay, right, in you come. I've got to go to the... Darling, do you have a husband in the spirit world, please?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, because I feel this is who's... well, you're going to have one for the moment, all right? I'll tell you which one in a minute. Because I feel it's the one that knew this young lady really well, who's actually bringing that compassion. And I've got a gentleman, I want to say, very down to earth, very practical and pragmatic. Thank you. He's laughing. We had a talk earlier about conspiracy theories. This guy would have said, "Tosh, what a load of rubbish." He didn't believe in conspiracies. Life was what you saw. Do you understand it? Do you understand one of your husbands? Okay. This is the one that's talking to the young lady as well as to yourself. All right. Thank you. I want to go back to this compassion that at times overwhelmed you, because he's asking me to say to you, please be a good steward of your own resources, because there is a tendency for you to push yourself that little bit further and that little bit further, and it's at times cost you. Do you understand this? And there's a lot of work coming for you to do in a caring, compassionate way, but you need to, I want to control how much goes out at any one time, okay? I don't know what your role in life is, whether you have a job at the moment, but there's going to be a lot of physicality to this caring, so be prepared to manage your own energies, please. You also hear things at times, don't you? And it's the spirit world speaking to you, and they're not always as clear as you'd like, but they're working on that. So I do feel your clairaudience is coming along, and I know that you want to use it to speak to people. Do you understand this? So know that that's in hand and it is coming along. I need now to jump. He said jump to the young girl to her left. So this man's got a bit of cheek. Would you understand that? Does that make sense to you, sweetheart? He'd tease you a little bit. Okay. He just said to me, you should have known her when she was younger. So he's saying that with a bit of cheek in his voice as well. Thank you. We don't do stuff like that on the platform, thank you. Because he was going to chase me around the platform. And I said, no, we're not doing that. Because he's reminding me he liked fun. And he says you also have a rather cheeky sense of humour that the two of you could share. Does that make sense? I know too, though, that you've been very impatient with your health, he tells me. You're not a good patient, are you?
No.
He said with all that she used to do, she's got a little bit fed up with what she can't do anymore. And he's asking that this is used more, because he says there's nothing wrong with what's in here, is there?
No, I keep telling them that, but they don't believe me.
No, there's nothing wrong in here. He said, so the other bits are a bit worn and a bit ragged at the edges. He said, but you can use this and you can write your thoughts. You can speak your thoughts into a microphone, because he tells me that if I say to you, at times your life was carrying the troubles of the world, that wouldn't be an exaggeration, would it?
I'm sorry.
If I say to you, oh, sorry, I'm going to fall off the plan, that at times you in your life you've felt as if you have carried the troubles of the world, that wouldn't be an exaggeration, would it? Exactly, because he's drawing me to that picture there of Jesus Christ with his hands on the globe. You felt like that sometimes,
He's
haven't
number two.
you? Yeah. But your husband's saying to me, you felt as if you were taking the weight of the world at times. And all those things have given you so much in here that could be written down and used for others' benefit. I don't know if the church has a newsletter, so you could do a little article or a little poem, but they'd like you to use this now because it's as clear as a bell.
sweetheart, I've had 5 the one that does all the work.
Automatic writing? Oh, sorry. Typists, secretaries. I don't know.
Secretary.
Yeah.
I've had 5, and I've made 5 people. 5. Oh. Five. I've set them up with 5 different.
People, secretaries.
No.
No.
5 different
Businesses?
I use one when I'm starting up with the healing service at night time with a church from in the Midlands.
Right.
And
I know what you're going to say. He's telling me people haven't got the commitment, the determination, or the interest.
I was doing it all myself.
Yeah.
So
Hang on. He said that's why you have a dictaphone. Speak into the dictaphone, and then later on find someone to transcribe it. Okay?
yeah, I can do that all right. I'm all right with it. It's just that I get when I'm starting to talk about something, I lose.
But it's
the
not.
ability to be
Yeah,
able to do it.
but it's not you that's going to do the talking.
Who is that?
The other side. All right? So you sit still, let them do the speaking. If not, you're going to have a word from the old man, I tell you, all right?
To be quite honest, I'm very good at getting the things from upstairs, and they sort of come on too fast when
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
know.
to get into sleep.
Yeah.
So they give me the ability in the morning,
Good.
and they give me the words in my head, and I can write it down
Good.
on paper.
But just tell them to slow it down. Say, come on, guys, if you want me to do this, slow it down. You're in charge, not, I don't mean of the world and life, but you're in charge of how it affects your physicality.
Yeah, all right.
All right?
I believe you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, maybe if you just put your dictaphone on and go to bed, leave it running, you might wake up and find the words are already on there. Right?
Yes, I can believe that as well.
Yeah, well, take their love and know there's still more work spiritually for you to do, okay? And I need to shut up now because I'm being told you're all very late going home. And I am so sorry. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
We've done everybody, so...
Sorry,
you're
but
not-
you've still got Margaret with you.
Oh, yes, she's still here nagging away. Elaine, that was absolutely wonderful. And one of the nice things now with the ventilation in place, we can extend a little bit. So little thoughts going on there for the future. So thank you for bringing that energy in. Very quickly, we have our notices, our services within the church and online. We have this Wednesday, Angie Freeland at 3 o'clock, and next Sunday, Wendy Wharton, also at 3 o'clock. Online activities, Monday night at 7 p.m, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We have an online meditation. This Friday at 7:30 we have another one of our joint ventures with the Spiritists. Saturday night at 7 o'clock we have a talk by Amanda Clare on sacred trees. And then on Friday the 9th at 7 p.m. also, we've managed to rebook with Anne Traherne to give her presentation on her book Arthur and Me from the Arthur Conan Doyle Centre up in Edinburgh. So a quick outline of what's going on. Those of you at home watching online will know that the updates pop up regularly. Those of you in the church, if you cannot get online, just give us a ring or whatever and we will let you know what's going on. So that concludes the notices. Just ask you for the closing prayer, please.
Certainly.
Thank you.
If we can just come together, friends. Divine Spirit, we thank you for the time, the communion and the upliftment we have shared here today. And allow each one of us to take that out into the world, to share it with all those who cross our paths in the coming day. Allow us to remind them that there is always hope And through that hope, we will forever rise upward and onward towards the glorious light that is the light of the Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Elaine, on behalf of everybody here, everybody watching at home, absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful service. Thank you all for attending here today. Special thanks, as always, goes out to our wonderful volunteers who help welcome people in and ensure we all are acting in a safe manner. So thank you. Thank you for attending our service today. Sorry you've missed your bus, Margaret, but there'll be another one, don't worry.
Yeah, for lunchtime, yeah.
Oh, all right then. And Alison, all the movement around you doesn't include my coffee table, all right? No. Thank you to those people watching at home as well. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day, and we look forward to meeting up again, whether it be in person or virtually. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.